Welcome
to the Legacy
Podcast.
Good day to all. Today we're going to be talking about experiencing hurt, dealing with hurt, facing hurt, coming through hurt. And normally I tend to pass it over to my wife, but before we get started, this podcast has been a situation wherein I'm just reflecting on so much. You know, sometimes when you go through storms and you're going through those seasons, uncertainty and all those things that encompass uncertainties, it's almost as if you try to erase it and you try to get past it and move away from it without even, reliving it, rethinking it, revisiting it. And so this podcast has been one of those ordeals wherein I'm really having to dig deep and think back. How did I really feel in that moment? How did I really face that moment? What was my thought process in that moment? So that's what I wanted to say before we begin this podcast, okay? But again, I'm with my lovely wife, Aondrea, and I love starting it off with her because she has such a vivid memory of everything that we've been through.
Oh,
and sometimes, in my mind, I'm like, what have we really been through, right? In the sense of, people are older than us and people have lived out their lives to reach a point of what I feel well-seasoned in. But God, He spoke to me clear as day, and He said, people need to hear what you all have to say, because you never know when the time is going to be up for you, right? In the sense of, what if I never get to tell my story, right? So now is the beginning of my wife and I telling our story, and we're allowed to see this in our history, the podcast, and listen to this in our history.
Yeah.
That'll be dope, right?
Yeah,
because that was my thought process. We're young. What are we talking about? You know what I mean? Because so many people they're actually facing some of the things that we've already been through, right? They're going through it right now. They may be gearing up to face it, and so they can prepare for it.
Yeah.
And so let me just hand it over to my wife right now. So we're talking about hurt, experiencing hurt. And this is definitely a subject matter that I'm kind of on eggshells about because I don't know how she's going to swing this one. But let's really talk about it.
Okay.
And let's really be, like we said before, raw and authentic. Because people need to know. It's not, airing out your laundry, right? It's not that. It's actually inspiring people, right?
Absolutely.
It's actually providing guidance to an extent to people. And so let's go. So with you, let's go through some of your hurts in the past. And how did you deal with those hurts? How did you face those hurts? How did you come through them? How did you overcome them? Are you dealing with hurts right now, right? Let's talk about all the above, and we can get a dialogue going, right?
Ooh,
I love how you start stuff off. Say it again.
Got my chest beating fast.
Got your
I'm
chest
nervous
beating
now.
fast.
Don't transfer your energy.
All nervous. I ain't never say I was nervous. I'm on eggshells, though, because I don't know what you're going to say out your mouth, so.
I will proceed with caution.
Proceed with very much caution. No, I'm just playing. Okay, so
goodness.
Let's go. Hurt. Dealing with hurt, experiencing hurt.
So, first let me ask you, do you have any specific areas of question that you want me to start in, or just go for it?
That's interesting.
Because see, we can experience hurt from so many different places.
Yeah.
You have your childhood, we have our relationships, And relationships, I mean, for me, that's all the way around. It's family, it's friends, it's acquaintances, co-workers, people you don't even know, your spousal relationships,
How about this? Because we could go all over those areas, right? But how about we speak to a hurt that almost, maybe almost paralyzed you, and I'm not speaking to somebody transitioning, right? We've spoken about that,
right?
But I'm talking about a hurt that you probably thought you would never face and probably never overcome, but somehow you did. Somehow you made it through. Let's speak about that.
I will proceed with caution.
All right, let's proceed with caution.
And as we said, we'll be honest, transparent.
Yes.
But right off the top of my head, I would have to think about our relationship early on in our marriage.
Okay.
Things were very different for us. We're kind of, a statistic. We got to know each other backwards, I would say.
Yeah.
We started off with our first child and then had to get to know each other. And I won't dive too much into that, but because of that situation, there was still so much gray area in us getting to really know one another. We were familiar with each other, but we didn't know each other outside of a physical, intimate relationship,
Yes.
And speaking in that sense. And then once you further complicate the situation to some sense, when there is a child or children involved, it can put even more strain on a relationship that we already did not have established, because for us it was a backwards thing. But I wholeheartedly then and now believe still that it was very much for us to meet and be with one another, regardless of how our relationship came to be. I still can strongly say we were meant to be with each other. But as far as the hurts, because I did not know who Sam was, what Sam was like, what Sam didn't like, what he did like, what were your passions, what were your turn-offs, vice versa. Yeah. We did not know each other outside of a physical relationship. It caused, I'm a easygoing person, but people who really know me know if you get to that itty bitty spot, it just can kind of unravel everything. It's disastrous.
Okay.
And we've been there several times in our marriage.
Right.
I would say, man, our first 7 years were hard, babe.
Yeah.
They were really hard, but we made it. We made it through it. And so let me just get to the story, y'all. So, like I said, we got to know each other backwards.
Yes.
We had our first child, our daughter, our precious baby girl. Her name actually means heavenly purpose. It means heavenly purpose. And we intentionally chose her name for that reason. We knew she was meant to be here. She's by far nobody's mistake.
Absolutely.
Very gifted child. We don't say it because she's our own, but how can I say this? I proceeded in our relationship, especially once we got married, to just have what I always envisioned that I would have if I had a family of my own. And that was just to be the best wife, the best partner, mother that I could be. And I felt like you would not allow me to be and do just that. It made it really hard. You would not let me be great, sir. You would not let me be great. It was one, I mean, we weren't too young, but we were still young enough to not really understand all that would come with a committed relationship.
That's good.
Did I know what I wanted? Absolutely. Did you know what you wanted? I don't know, brother. You have to answer. You have to answer it yourself. But the hurt really came to a part in our relationship wherein, I mean, I gotta take a breath, y'all. The hurt came in where I felt like there were times where you wanted to it was two things for me. You would either listen to someone and take on their opinions or have more loyalty to them than you would me. And then not only that, third parties. And wherein those things, it happens in most relationships, and as far as the breaking point was just where I realized that even from you saying it, you felt like things would be so much easier if you just made it to the point where I would walk away. And it was kind of like you tried to do everything you could to break me. And I was letting it get to that point because all I knew is that I wanted to break generational curses. I didn't want a broken family. And it just got to a point where things were just not great. It wasn't great for either one of us. And I had to really make some decisions because children were involved. Yes, I cared about me. I cared about my feelings, my well-being, but part of my well-being was making sure that I was emotionally and mentally healthy enough to be there for our children, even through what we were going through.
Yeah.
And it was just really hard.
Absolutely. And like you said, I know for myself, I was in a very dark place. And for all you ladies that are desiring a man and you want a relationship, you want to be married, the best advice that I could give you is in all things, right? Seek God first. Because that's what my wife did, okay? Even though I was a knucklehead, even though I was definitely trying to break her, my moral compass was way off. And it took me 7 years to realize that my moral compass was way off. The whole time that we are in the first 7 years of our marriage, my thought process was just, provide, financially. If her financial needs are met, she has nothing to say to me. That's basically how I approached it.
Yep.
It was, you have a roof over your head, you have running water, you have food on the table. That's it, And I didn't realize until 7 years later, we were in a heated discussion. I don't know if you would call it a discussion, but
definitely not.
but it was there. I mean, we were right there to the point, and it finally hit me, and I spewed the words out. Then I said, "I resent you.
Yeah.
I resent you. I resent everything about you." And it was a selfish behavior.
Yeah. But we are going to get into the rest of that on next week. This is part 1 of Experiencing Hurt, and we are looking forward to chatting with you all later.